and welcome to the No Taboo Woo Woo Show.
I'm Sandra Logan.
And I'm Gail Chisholm.
If you enjoy being a fly on the wall of deep and meaningful conversations between pals on all things spirituality, healing, and personal empowerment, then you have landed in the right podcast.
Enjoy today's episode. Hello.
Hello. I am
Welcome.
loving your Christmassy, festive, cozy look. Looks so
I
nice.
know, although the temperature has dropped a bit, although today's quite mild, but I have also just, hopefully Bob doesn't listen to this because I put the heating on for a little boost and the radiator's right in front of me. So I'm actually feeling that I might have to take my scarf off before I turn into... And then, of course, obviously we're now on video, so people get to see that.
Yay! I know.
Although obviously you can still...
I am coming today with this thing on my face.
Oh, is that a spot?
Which, no, it feels like a bite. But like, look how close it is to my eye. I know.
Ouch.
It's quite itchy, but I'm like, what the fuck is bitten me? I'm hoping it's not the false widow spider that is hiding up in the little creases of where the skylight is. Because I'm like...
I don't know. I mean, I could do a TMI if you really want to about...
I would love a TMI. You know how much I love a TMI.
I'm like, yay, this is fun. I know obviously we're not like into the multi-million listeners or the thousands of listeners just yet. But obviously when someone goes back and reads this, you know, I'll look forward to the posts on social. I have a spot on my bum.
Do you?
Yes, it's sore. It's annoying. I don't know where it's come from. And then, you know, then you start to realize when like you're in a relationship and obviously you're quite happy to share stuff. Because then I did say to him, I was like, I've got a spot. And it's not just like, it feels like a volcano. And of course, it's the most awkward place to try and see and pick. But I have been very good and put some Savlon on it. But I was like, how the fuck do you get a spot on your bum? And it's like, it's not just like a wee one either.
Do you know what is so mad about this? The synchronicities are wild. I'm also about to share a TMI. So I have see anyone who's had issues with their skin over the years. Hopefully this will make you feel a bit better about your situation. So I have over a decade had issues with breakouts in my skin. And I used to get like acne breakouts on my face and on my neck. And then it would be like on my shoulders and on my back. And over the last like year or two, I've noticed that it's more like my lower back and my bum and on my hips. So it's like, it's not full on like acne, like squeezy spots, but it's like little red spots. And do you know what's really funny about this, right? That we're having this conversation is that I did another meditation to connect with my ancestors the other night. And as I was doing it, there was a guy that came through, Malcolm. No idea who these are. Now, what I've worked out through my communication with my ancestors and meditation is that the ancestors that are walking with me through this season of my life particularly are way before like anybody, even in my parents' or my grandparents' age group. So this is going back like 1800s and before. Wow. Some of them I've done past lives with, but I need to delve into that a bit more at some point. So the other night I was doing this meditation. And interestingly, so it was Dia de los Muertos. Dia de los Muertos.
Day
of the Dead.
Death Festival.
Yeah. So it was on the 1st and the 2nd of November. And I decided this is a really good opportunity. While it's not my tradition, I was like, the veil is thinner at this time. It's a good chance for me to like really connect with my ancestors and to honour them and to find out more about them. So I took the opportunity and the veil was indeed thinner and I managed to connect much easier than I have in the past. Like messages were coming through quicker and there was lots of interesting things that came through. And one of them, so this guy, Malcolm, came through who was like in his 60s and like, I'll not go into all the details of everything that came through because there was loads of messages. I've got like pages of scroll that I was writing when I was in my meditation. But while I was communicating with him, he mentioned Diane. No idea who Diane was. He said, Diane's the clever clogs. She'll know. Or she always knows what's right. Something like that. So anyway, I open up communication with Diane and it comes through, like I see a vision of her and she's beautiful. She's this tall, elegant lady, and she's got this hat on with a bow tie underneath it. And she's
Okay.
wearing this floral dress. It's like small florals, and it's like a long sleeve, like bodice, and then it goes into like a huge flare skirt. She's
I mean, I'm not being
beautiful.
funny, but you would wear that.
Yeah, but this is like almost like like maybe even
Yeah, but
pre-Victorian
like,
kind of
I
era.
don't know, like just the vibe, man. Like I could see you pitching up with a leather jacket on top, right? And
Really?
your boots. I'm not saying you'd be, yeah, not, I can't see you with your a little bonnet, but like for
Yeah.
like a vintage floral dress that really nips in at the waist, like
Yeah, yeah, I could see that too, actually. She was given like proper garden party kind of vibes.
right.
And her energy was very strong. And she was like, she was basically saying, like, finally you're here. I've been waiting for you to be ready to communicate with me. I've got a lot of messages for you and things for you to share. And the words that came through, first of all, were flora and fauna. And then there was like messages coming through about different flowers and plants and things like that. Random
Mm,
facts that I just wouldn't know. And then she was talking about dates, right? And she said, don't worry about dates. Because I was like, it's funny how it's like they connect with like what you're even thinking before you don't need to
mm,
say it. Because I was thinking about the dates of like when were you around and all this kind of stuff. But then she said, ask for the right amount of dates. And I was like, I'm like, dates? Is this like the food, like little dates? Anyway, then I ask her about my skin situation, right? This is a long winded story to get to the point of like spots on your bum, right? But so I asked her about my skin situation, and she said about asking for the right amount of dates. And then she says, licorice tea. And she said to
mm.
take licorice tea. By the way, anybody listening, right, that has like skin problems
That's
or
it. It's
something they
like
would like to resolve, that I'm
hashtag
not
not a
a
doctor.
specialist. I'm not a dermatologist. This is literally me channeling an ancestor. However, she said licorice tea twice a month, take it for 3 days, 3 times a day. And I was like, licorice. I was like, I hate licorice. And I think this
I
is
like
like from the days of doing too much aftershock and sambuca back in the day. Like the smell of it even turns me. But I was like, I could potentially do it for like a few days a month. And then I was like,
hmm
is there any alternatives? And she said about nettle tea. So nettle tea, she said 4 to 5 leaves. And she said to like it was like a pestle and mortar that I saw, like sort of squeeze them a bit and let them stew
Yeah.
in boiling water for a few minutes. And to have the first cup of them on an empty stomach in the morning as your first cup, and to sip, don't gulp. And she said to alternate between licorice tea and nettle tea month to month. So, like the first month you do your days of licorice tea, and then the next month you do your nettle tea. And I was like, this is fascinating. Like, these are things I was like, and then, of course, as soon as I'm out of meditation, I'm like straight onto Google. Not like that I'm, looking to discredit Diane, but I was like, I think my ego likes to fact check things. So then I'm looking on, and she came out with a line that I was like, that is wonderful. She said, don't make a habit out of ignorance. I was like,
Oh wow.
that's interesting. And she said like that there was like she said about rules to follow, things by the book, that she had written a book and that she was going to share more with me. So I've not done another meditation since to connect with her, but I'm like so fascinated by this. And I'm like, it's so funny that you started by mentioning having a spot on your bum, because I was like,
I
this
know.
is so mad, because I thought to myself the other night, I was like, oh, this would be cool to share with you on the pod. Here we are. So there's my
Mm,
story. So I
that's
am going to
funny.
try it. Haven't started yet, but I will report back and let people
Yeah,
know in case
absolutely.
anybody else has had some
Yeah.
skin issues.
Thankfully, touch wood. I mean, I think this is an isolated incident, but I would say in terms of like volcano-ish and spotlight, yeah, it's up there.
It's so funny, like one spot.
I know it's just weird.
Where did it come from?
And the thing that's just been going through my head, oh, excuse me, that's my throat, is the song Jack and Diane. When you said Diane.
Jack and Diane. I don't know that. I don't know
Yeah,
the song.
I'm
How
going
does
to
it
say
go?
it's probably an 80s reference, so you might need to Spotify it. I can't really
Uh,
say it. It's like, um, but I think it's an 80s song. And it's like the
Oh,
first
I
line
need to
is
go
goes
and check
with
that out.
yeah. Anyway, signed more. So yeah, that's
There you
my
go.
TMI story at the moment.
It's mad the things that go on with your body. I often think that, like, see when we like remove any sort of judgment or anything and just like observe, like the body is wild. The body is wild.
I've
And it's
just been
been like
weirdly, I've just been, so I'd submitted all my human design assignments, and
yay!
as you know, I've had feedback. So she's reviewed all of I think there's 16 modules, but actually module 8 has 8 within it. So that's whatever that is.
Okay.
Maths is quick maths is not my strong point. So I had to revisit one question in module 5. So I went back and did that, got that. That's all been fine now. And I think there's a question in module 11, but everything else has been good.
Great.
So I've passed all those. She's got my 2 read-ins to watch. But then she said to me, where's your module 16? And so I was like, checked on my folder in case I just hadn't sent it. I was like, I got one. Went into the portal thing, module 6. I was like, there's no assessment. So I've been doing module 16 today, which is all about body connection, the energetic centers and how it connects to the physical and what each center can represent,
Oh.
and therefore like where you might be disempowered or feeling things, how the sort of energetic blocks can manifest physically, but equally physical things
Mm.
can tell you potentially where you might have some energetic blocks or some disempowerment in a center. So it's all just a
Mhm.
big full circle. Um,
Well, that's
so I've been
really
doing
cool
that.
because if you think like what we've been talking about is like root chakra stuff, isn't it? It's
It
and
is.
like for
Yours
me
goes up in
around the
towards the
sacral and the
sacral a
root.
bit. Well, it's all about being grounded. The other thing I was going to say is lower back can sometimes actually be to do with money blocks as well, lower back stuff. I know, I just laughing. But it's so funny
Relatable.
because there's in my in this whole like embodiment and connection and the energy connected to physical. This was all, I think I've said before, one of the reasons why I chose Space and Freedom to do my
Yeah.
accreditation. But I don't have it with me. It's back in Scotland, but like the metaphysical and the connection and like how to
Mm,
maybe explore, like if your body's like aching somewhere or like,
yeah.
maybe I don't know if it would be like, I don't think they've got spots, but they would certainly have bum, and it's my left bum
Yeah.
cheek. TMI.
So that's your feminine side.
My feminine bum cheek is is not happy
It's
just now.
erupting.
I know. It's like, hi. Although weirdly, I
Oh.
suppose actually if I think about maybe what, like if I was to tune into like intuitively what do I feel, like the last few days, um, I've been quite emotional. And
Mm,
so it's the 7th of November today. And I think 2 days ago it was the full moon, wasn't it, in Taurus? We're going to have a
yeah.
chat about that in a
Full moon in
second. But
Taurus.
yeah, so yeah, maybe I'm just like, things are just being released, including
Yeah.
spotty stuff on my arse. Shall we change
It's
the
mad how the
subject and go
energy
to the
shows
card
up.
show? I know, I'm like, who knew this wasn't my intention for speaking on the podcast about a spotty bum?
No. Um,
We're the
so
no
card
taboo
pull
place.
today.
I was just saying we're the no taboo woo woo show, and
We
we
are
can
the
make
no
woo woo
taboo.
out of spots on your arse.
It's all connected
Cards.
though, eh? It's like,
We
and I
are,
think
everything
that's
is
the
all
thing.
connected.
It's so connected, and it's wild how connected it is sometimes. All the time, really.
I know.
The card deck today, I've been called to my trusted Lightseers tarot, and it's
Mhm.
been a while, and I always feel like it's meeting an old friend again. As I've been shuffling and splitting the deck, the Five of Wands has been poking out, so it'll be interesting to
Okay.
see if the Five of Wands wants to show its face. But I'm going to ask, what is the guidance, universe, for the people listening to the pod today? Oh, that's too many. Oh, judgment was
Half
taken
the
out
deck.
there.
It's my
Half
novel
the deck,
today,
no.
folks.
So, what is the guidance for the listener today, please, universe?
I do
Fucking,
like
you
that
can't
deck.
even
I've not
make it
used it
up.
for. Is that the
The
Five of
Five of
Wands?
Wands.
Okay. Oh, with
Look,
whoa.
girl.
I'm like,
Ace
hello, old
of
friend.
Pentacles.
Oh, joy.
So, if anybody's been listening to the podcast, you will know that the Ace of Pentacles has been haunting Gail over the past months, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this podcast for quite a while. I think I remember listening to the episode with the Ace of Pentacles that came out when I was on my way to my embodiment thing in July, and that would have
Hmm.
been recorded probably either the start of this year or the tail end of last year. But yeah, that message you've got, if you don't plant it, nothing can grow. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the insight today, Sandra?
It's really interesting because, like, with the context of the full moon, it gives a different spin on these cards. So, obviously, we've just been through the full moon, and the energy of the full moon in Taurus is still around us at the minute while we're
Mm,
recording. And Taurus is ruled by Venus. It's the planet of, well, it's love, it's known as, but also it's our values, it's the things that we value in life. And whatever that is, it's particularly linked to the material world, really, but it's also in how we feel. So
mhm,
it speaks of things like beauty and, you know, things that we like to do, spending time in nature. It's also connected to a feeling of like stability and security and all of that good stuff as well. And I'm seeing that coming through today with the Ace of Pentacles. And it's funny that the Five of Wands is here, and also that it was peeking out before we even started, because it's like there's almost like a battle of the wills here. And the deck with the Light Seers Tarot, the Five of Wands, always brings to me an energy of feeling a sense of competition. And this can be like, our own perception of competition, like what's within us. And it's like, because we create that, right, in our own minds when
mhm,
we're looking at other people. We're like, who am I competing with? And especially that this feels particularly in terms of like opportunities, because the Ace of Pentacles is speaking to us about there are opportunities available to you if you're willing to take them and run with them. And it might require, you know, tapping into your inner fire and your willingness to be a participant in the game. And that's kind of what the
mm,
Five of Wands is. Everybody on here is all heading towards the same thing. There's like a sort of shared goal that people are working towards. And if it's in alignment with this opportunity that's available, it's like, how can you look at competition in a healthy kind of way when it comes to achieving what you want in life and getting the things you want and tapping into your inner passion and fire and the thing that actually sparks you, the thing that
mm,
you're like, this is the thing that's worth fighting for, and not fighting for in the negative connotations of it, but it's like, what are you willing to you know, what are you willing to give? What are you willing to put towards something when it comes to an opportunity that's available? And it can feel sometimes like a bit of a struggle. It can feel like a bit of a challenge, but I always feel like I'm especially getting today with the Five of Wands. It's like tapping into the strengths that you've got naturally and using them as the building blocks towards your success instead of focusing on the areas that maybe you feel like you're lacking in or that aren't maybe your strongest point. It's like, what are the strengths that you have that you know that you're good at? And it might be worth writing a list of what those strengths are. This is an exercise that is really good for like rebuilding self-confidence and belief in yourself as well. Is just taking a review of what do I know that I'm good at, and not being, you know, not putting to the side the things that where your strengths really lie. This is about like building on those strengths and using them to
mhm,
your advantage. And it's not about stepping on other people along the way. This is about just knowing who you are and knowing what you're good at and using that as something that fuels you towards the opportunities and the things that are available to help you build longer term, like more substantial is the words that's coming into my mind.
mm,
Potential material, whether it's wealth, prosperity, abundance. What is it that you're working towards and what is it that's important to you? What do you
mhm,
really value? I don't know why, but something with this Ace of Pentacles, it's speaking to me with this visual of the plant. It's coming to me that it feels like something's slipping through someone's fingers, but it's not. It's not. It's just that, this opportunity is something that needs nourishment. It's something that needs you to, the phrase that's coming in is put some skin in the game. Be
mm,
willing to invest your time and energy into the thing that you really want, because it's going to take a bit to get there. And it doesn't mean that it needs to be a struggle, but it will challenge you on the journey, and that's what it's meant to be about. And interestingly, underneath we've got the Lovers. So this could feel like something that's really different and is calling you into your higher self and is calling you to potentially even like collaborate or to come together with someone to work towards something. It's going to be different for everybody that's listening. And the Queen of Wands underneath. Again, passion and fire and like, what is lighting you up? What is this full moon revealed to you? Or whenever you're even listening to it, what is the energy lately highlighting for you in terms of what you really want out of life? What's putting a fire in your belly? What's inviting you to step into your most confident, flamboyant you? What's calling you? It'll be something that is going to require Seven of Pentacles for you to invest time and energy. And it might be something that is, it's a slow grower. Because the Ace of Pentacles is the start of a material journey. And this is you starting out, and the Seven of Pentacles is, further along on that material journey. But it requires, like I said right at the start of this, it requires nourishing and nurturing. If you think of a plant, if you think of your idea or your investment or the time that you're making as something that you're putting into the ground, you want to water that. It needs to get sunlight. It needs attention and energy and maybe preening, or, sometimes these plants, they need to be shifted to a different environment. So like, what is it for you? What is it for you? What an interesting message. What comes up for
What
you?
is I was about to ask the same for you. I thought just as I was listening to you, I was reflecting on like my own situation, and obviously, hello, Ace of Pentacles again. And I think the other thing around like the competing thing and the competition,
Mm-hmm.
I know I can get stuck in that. It's like, I sometimes call it like comparisonitis, and therefore it is
Yeah.
like a sense that I feel like I have to compete with people. And just coming back and reminding that
Mm,
way of like, there's space for everyone, and weirdly, I've been doing
yeah.
some work this week actually around like, I suppose let's call it my brand identity and my values and figuring out what it is that I want to do. And one of the things I was talking about was this thing of like, which goes back to your thing on like, what are your strengths? But it's like, you know,
Mm,
if there's 10 coaches in a room, those 10 coaches approach it differently, have different tools. You'll probably get to the same end point. But the
yeah.
trick is to find the one that aligns with you and has the tools that will work with what you're wanting to work with on that particular time. And so I think that's something I always sort of come back to and saying, well, it's okay if people don't want to work with me because I might not be for them, but there are
Mm,
people who I am for. And it's not about competing with other people in the field. And that does come back to, as you say, like just having a bit of confidence and value in yourself and what skills you have and being
yeah.
honest about your strengths. And that's not coming from like an ego point of view, but also being honest about like, really, where do you want to go? Like, what is the game
Mm,
that you're playing? Or are you
yeah.
just stuck at the bottom watching everybody else?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
almost like, because like the Ace of Pentacles is behind it, and it's almost like trying to get over this bit a little bit and saying, right, like maybe what are the rules of the game that you want to play in order for this to
Mm,
go anywhere? Because maybe we're being stuck, you're getting stuck in comparisonitis or competition, or
yeah.
rather than really like if you didn't have that, what would the Ace of Pentacles mean for you? Like, what would you really be starting on?
Mm.
Um,
And I love that, like with you saying about playing the game. Because I think when we approach
yeah.
things also from that lens of like, this is like life's an experiment. We're here to experience things, and it's, there's not a set of rules for us
Mhm.
to follow. So this is about like experimenting, and what if you treated whatever
Yes,
this
yeah.
is for you as a game? And it's like, okay, let's have fun with it. Let's play with it. Let's see how I can work with the energy of this thing that I'm working towards, instead of it
Mm.
being something that feels like a battle, because it's not meant
I
to
think
feel
we
that
can get
way.
caught in the thing that's popped into my head because I've started watching
Yeah.
Traitors. So my friend had recommended Traitors to me, and I'd never watched it, and I don't know how many, but I went back and started season 1. I'm now in season 3, And it
Mhm.
really fascinates me how, like, it is a game where you are participating to win something. And also it's a big game of bluff or Scabby Queen. Like if you're from Scotland, if you've ever played Scabby Queen,
Gabby Queen.
where it's like you're bluffing like what your hand is. And but it's like
Ah.
what's really interesting is when you've suddenly put these people in an experiment for a fortnight where emotions get involved, you start to see
Mhm.
people as trustworthy, and then you start being, well, you've got traitor-like qualities, and you're like, they didn't
Mm.
come in as a traitor. They were selected equally to play this
Mhm.
game, and that's the role that they're
Yeah.
playing. But it's really interesting how quickly, because you're absorbed into this situation and you're in the game, you
Mhm.
forget that this is a game and that actually, where feelings are getting, like you can watch it, people having arguments and feelings and accusations, and obviously it's television, but you can just really see that there's this, it's like herd mentality and things come in, and it's like a fascinating watch around human behavior. But coming
Mhm.
back to that Five of Wands, it's a bit like maybe a bit of perspective is required and a reminder around that you're playing a game, and that, because also like on the Five of
Yeah.
Wands, there's somebody at the top. So the perspective of if you're at the top could be different than if you're at the side. But a reminder of like, what does really, this goes back to your values, doesn't it? Like what really, really matters here.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That
no, it's about like, I like the bit you're, being curious and just reminding yourself, like, and I know that sometimes when, and I laugh because I'm like, well, curiosity doesn't pay the bills. Um, not necessarily, not directly, but
Mm.
equally, it's like, and I have to tell you about, so I was talking to the thing I was doing on Wednesday with my friend about this brand identity and stuff, and I was talking about, I was actually quite vulnerable and open with her, and her and I have been working together in like practice coaching sessions for the last 12 months. And I was telling
Mhm.
her something. She's like, I didn't know that about you, Gail. And I was like, classic projector. And
You
I'm
bring
like,
all the cards up your sleeve and you're like,
I
"Phew."
know. Well, I was just a bit like, because I suppose I'm like, well, you didn't really ask. I didn't really volunteer. Like,
Mm.
and I suppose it's just like, anyway, but she was then, we got into this subject of like settling. And she told me
Oh.
about this lady called, I think her name's Susie Welch. And actually, we definitely need to start tagging people that we talk about in here. And I'd never heard of her
Yeah.
before. And Robin had mentioned her to me, and she says, you should go and listen to this podcast. And it's the title of it's The Danger of a B plus Life. And I was like,
Oh.
okay. And I was like, it's because of just some of the things I was talking about. And I was like, oh, holy moly, when I was listening to this. So, and I was chatting to Bob a bit about it. So if you're like, if you think of grading your life, and obviously your ideal is your A plus, and I suppose that's really your Ace of Pentacles, that's your dream life, that's the thing, that's your A plus life. And then if you were to think about where are you just now, what she was saying is then, because it comes down to a lot around what are you valuing in life and where are there mismatches and stuff. And what you can find is the people who get stuck in a B plus life are like, life feels good enough, life feels all right, you're probably doing well financially, you're not in a struggle, you're not in like a grind, you're not in that things feel hard and sticky. Um, and it's like, you might be like, well, I'm happy enough. I'm all
Mhm.
right. And I'm thinking, God, I could so relate to this because I was like, I was in a B plus life. I had a nice relationship, had a nice house, I had a nice job, but it wasn't fulfilling me. It wasn't my A plus. But what she was saying is when you're in that B plus life, is that it's so satisfying to a point you just settle. Whereas if you're in like a B minus, a C, a D, an F, your life feels there's something wrong, there's a motivator, there's a something that feels shitty or pushing you to go, no, I want more. And so you take action. But when you're in the B plus lane, you don't necessarily take the action and you just feel, you're like, because it's almost that don't be ungrateful. Because so
Yeah.
many people who are thinking my life is a C, I'd love a B plus life. But it's like, well, we all want to
Yeah.
aspire to the A plus life. And it's like,
Yeah.
really fascinating listen. And I just thought to myself, I was like, that's so relatable. And then if I think
Mhm.
of where am I now, I suppose in terms of like some of my values, because actually you could go onto her website. She's a lecturer somewhere, and she's got this thing called, I think it's the 10-10-10 program. But you can go in and do like a sort of free quiz which talks through the values through her lens. And then you start to see where there are mismatches between where your life is, because you answer questions on what you would like your ideal life to look like and feel
Yeah.
like on a sliding scale. And then you
Mhm.
answer it, where are you now? So
Mhm.
it's a lot of things like for me are around like making a difference to the world, like leaving a legacy. That's a big driver for me.
Mm.
And so I've got a big disconnect at the moment because I don't feel necessarily that I'm making the legacy or leaving, like I'm building or creating or whatever, the legacy that's there, or that I would really, really like to.
Do you have a
But
vision
then
of what that legacy looks like?
sort of, yeah, sort of no. I mean, I think there's so many like, and this is the thing, like if I think about when I've been doing a lot of the playing big thing, is a lot of women get stuck in a B plus life because
Mm.
like, we're almost conditioned to be like, well, you've got a great job and you're empowered to do blah, blah, blah. Whereas like,
You should
and
be
so
happy with
sometimes
your
the thing
lot.
that you really, yeah. And then so that thing that you're like, when I was, you think back to you know, what did you want to do or be, or like, the thing that feels fucking massive and you maybe don't really talk
Mm.
about it a lot. I mean, it might not actually be massive, but it feels big to you. And so
Mm.
like that's really where, and then I think the other thing is giving myself grace around, it's like, and this is some of the learnings around like the playing big and supporting others, is like, it's like you don't have to get from where you are today to your A plus life tomorrow. And so it's also about like, what are the steps? How can you take small leaps? What are the small things you can do to kind of build that progress? And a lot of it's even just like
Yeah.
being curious, and a lot of the other stuff around, like for me, like a lot of my embodiment work, and, even things where we go like meditation and connecting with your ancestors or using your tarot and your oracle. They're tools to kind of create a
Mm.
bit of peace and calm. So you can actually think about, what is that big thing that you really, really, really want to do? And how are you going to get
Mm.
there? Because
Yeah.
the mind monkeys, or chip as my inner critic is called, is hella noisy when it's the
Yeah.
thing that you're like, holy crap. And it was funny because I was being asked questions like on Wednesday with my friend, and like really like leaning into like, how would it feel like if you had these things, and like, because obviously that's a bit of manifestation as well, and like
Yeah.
really, how much do you really want this? And in fact, on that podcast, one of the things to find out whether you're in a B plus life or not is, or like to feel whether there's this disconnect for you, is she asked the question around, imagine you're 85 and what is the one regret that would have you sobbing? And I was like, okay. And it doesn't have to be big. Like, I mean, it's not like, oh, I wanted to solve world peace, because that's not real. But like the example she was
Mm.
using, like some people were like, I never learned Italian and it's part of my heritage. Or I've always wanted to
Oh.
go and live in New York City and I've never done it. I never did it. And,
Mm.
so you can start to see, and why sometimes do you not do these things? Because life feels good enough and you're like, well, but then suddenly you're 85 sobbing. She called it, I thought her term was really cool. She was like, the B plus life is like being in a velvet coffin. It's like feels all plush and everything like that. It was a
That.
really rich 30-minute podcast episode. I'd highly recommend going and having a listen. Really good perspective. And I think, if you're someone who maybe is feeling, am I a little bit stuck, is, and even just to reflect on, where would I grade my life just now?
Yeah.
Um, so it was pretty cool. But the other thing that,
Wow.
um, yeah, so it's just like, even then you start digging into like, what would it be like if you actually had it? Like,
Yeah.
living the life that you wanted. And what would you do?
Yeah. Big questions, isn't it? And I
I
think, like,
know.
what's coming into me is, like, for anyone listening, is like, because it can sometimes feel, at least I've experienced this and I've witnessed it with people that I've worked with over the last few years, is that there can sometimes be or feel like there's a huge disconnect between where you are and where you want to go. But it's coming back to remembering that there's a lot of steps along the way, and
Mm.
there's little steps that you can take. And it's that whole, one of my favorite mottos is progress over perfection, is like just making little steps every day, even if it's one small thing that you're doing to take that action towards that life that you desire.
Mm.
Because, like, I believe that there's also a lot that's outside of our control. The external environment that we're in, we don't have control over. All we have control over is ourselves. So it's like, when it comes to the dreams that you've got and the things that you want and the things that you don't want to be regretting when you're 85 years old on your deathbed or whatever, is that to look at it like, what can I do today? What's one small step? And sometimes
Mm.
that's like, for me recently, it's been a lot about getting my energy in a higher vibration. And, what is it that makes me feel abundant? What's it that makes me feel in balance? And there's various different things that help me do that. And there's little things that I can do every day, whether it's reciting affirmations or listening to high vibe music that makes me want to dance, or,
Mm.
it's writing down a letter from my future self, or doing a visualization meditation, or taking a walk in nature, or being creative. Like, there's lots of little things that I can do each day that help me to get into that state where you're more in alignment also with the things that you're calling in to attract into your life. Because it's like everything exists. Like, as Abraham Hicks talks about, she talks about the vortex, where everything that you've imagined, that you've desired, is energetically in existence in this vortex. And that's a really cool visualization to go into, to be like, I'm going to go and visit my vortex and be like, what's in there? Like, what do I still actually want? Are there desires that I put out into the universe years ago that you're like, that was not really in alignment with where I want to go, or it's not where I'm wanting to go now? And it's like, if you think about it, or if you tap into that energy, like, what would be in your energetic vortex, the things that you've really wished for that you've desired, because it's already in energetic existence. And it's like, our part in the whole thing is like taking the steps to energetically align with that thing and let go of the how it's going to come into our life.
Mm.
Because it's like, we're co-creators, like, we're co-creating with the universe, and it's meant to be a process that's like fun and is a journey. It's not necessarily even about the end destination. It's like enjoying the life between your
Sometimes I'm
B
like,
plus life and your A plus life.
I think the
Sometimes
universe needs to
what?
get the memo on its fun.
I know. I say all
Uh,
this, right? But I'm like, I've been fucking feeling this squeeze. The full moon in
Stop.
Taurus, man. Feeling the squeeze. Because, like, Taurus is also my north node. So it's
Mhm.
like, it's what I'm here to learn. It's what I'm here to master. It's the material world. It's, money and resources and security and all of these different
Mm.
things, and our values. And there's so much in there. And I think it's like, there are challenging times, and I get you, because, like, it doesn't always feel easy. And sometimes it's like, there's a lot of emotions that we've attached to certain outcomes, or
Yeah.
to where even we're at. And like, I keep coming back to, and I think the time that I've had recently where it's almost felt like a bit of a pause that I've been in, as I've been reflecting on the fact that it's like, life is about the contrast, and it's about, you know, kind of remaining in balance while there's change going on. And it's how we navigate that. It's how we
Mm.
navigate the challenging times. And because there's always going to be things, right? Whether it's from within us, or it's around us in our lives. And it's like, how do we navigate that? And how do we process it? And how do we not let it be something that stops us from still making progress towards the things that we really desire in life? It's wild. The energy lately has just been like, I've been
Yeah.
in
I
such a
mean, I
state of
don't
surrender.
I mean, I like I've said, I would always say that I would feel more new moon, like, energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just been like, just felt quite emotional, and then I know that's really a bit of a basic word, I suppose, but I've been doing so at this we started back in November doing another 40-day sadhana practice with a mantra, and the mantra I'm
Mhm.
using, is Eckhart. Anyway, you don't need to. but it's supposed to be quite a powerful
I'd like to
manifesting
know what it is,
mantra.
though. What does it mean?
I don't need to look it up. But weirdly, I felt so it's supposed to be quite a powerful mantra, and some people in like
Mm-hmm.
whole Kundalini circles and everything are like, "Be careful!" It's like it's a bit like the Moldavite of the mantra world, but
Fucking hell, Gail, you're going all in with your Moldavite and the mantra.
I know but
I'm seeing you with like a
so
snow globe that is like your life that you're just
I
like shaking
know.
up, and you're like,
But it's
what's
funny
going to
because
be
so we do it
settled?
for 11 minutes, but um I found I picked this because I felt called to, and actually back
Mm.
in 2017-ish, 2016, 2017, I used to use that mantra as part of a meditation, and it was
Oh
because
wow.
I'd read Gabby Bernstein's The Universe Has Your Back, and she uses Kundalini and she does a lot of meditation with mantra work, and she talks a bit about that. And in fact, even just using Sat Nam and to regulate her nervous
Mm.
system, which is what's it like, Truth is Thyself or something like that. I should really know this. If Claire's listening, don't ask me for in my embodiment practical assessment. Although by the time this goes out, I'll have had my practical anyway. So yeah, hopefully I'll pass.
Yay!
But I find like when I started listening to it again, it was a bit like, oh, hello, old friend. It's been a while. Uh,
Nice.
But yesterday, was it yesterday? I think I've been feeling a bit emotional, but when I was doing the mantra yesterday, I started crying. To be fair, I have actually cried with this mantra back in the day when I used to do it. So it's like, but just letting it kind of shift. And then just, yeah, like yesterday and today, and just like feeling a bit meh. And I was voice note Sam actually, and she was like, and this is really funny because she said, she came back to me, she said, Gail, just listening to what you were saying, and I've just finished listening to one of your pods, or you said about the book Wintering, and really I know we were going to talk about this. And she said, I feel like what you're trying to do is bypass winter and just go straight to spring at the moment. Because I was talking about, I was like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, I should do this, I should do that. And, planning for like
Mm.
2026. And she's like, perhaps it's just about leaning into this season. And I was laughing because I'd found, because I'd said to you, the person who had recommended Wintering on socials had said she reads it every year. And I was like, brilliant idea. And then you'd said, found one in a charity shop. And then I found my copy when I was at the new house the other day. So I brought it back and I was like, right, I'm going to read September, October, November, because it's sort of in monthly chunks. And then I'll pick up doing it like once a month and read it in alignment with what's going on. And I did go
Mm.
back to her and I was like, actually, do you know, I think part of it is you're right in that sometimes when we're feeling this like weird energy or like we have unexplained emotion, whether that's happiness, sadness, anger, frustration, or whatever, is that actually not to bypass it and just to lean in and accept
Mm.
it. And it's like, this is how it feels just now. And then, but it's just been bonkers, like some crazy thoughts and like some of my journaling. And the word I've picked for November in my Donna Ashworth journal is light. And it's a
Ah.
reminder to like lean into the light, because like I
Mm.
have felt really sad and a bit lonely, and a lot of my connections feel like they've been online. I didn't go to netball this week because I was just being a bit busy with stuff like the house. But like my car's in the garage, so I don't have any wheels now. Obviously I can get public transport, but like I just felt like lots of things were a lot at the moment, and I just thought actually it's
Mm.
a reminder that to lean into the light and what's the opportunity within some of this. And it is, as like Sam said, is like actually you don't have any transport just now. It's like maybe this is the opportunity just to sit and be cozy and lean
Mm.
into the energy of whatever's in the moon just now.
Yeah.
But I would quite like it to pass.
We're always like that. Let's get to the good.
I know it's just hard because, like, I mean,
Oh.
I'm not really a crier type of person. I have started watching a program on Netflix called Sullivan's Creek, which did help me have a good cry. It's like a proper like just Hallmark TV type show, but
Mm.
just I don't know, like I'm just not really. And what I don't like is sort of if I'm going to cry, like when I was doing my mantra, that was fine, And then like in yoga on Wednesday morning, I was a bit like that, and this morning. But what don't like is like I felt like on the edge of crying quite a lot over the last few days.
Hmm.
And that just feels like it's a bit like just for no reason other than just because. Like,
Do you feel like you want to name it when the emotion does, when you feel like in those moments where you're feeling
um,
on the edge of tears, do you feel yourself searching for why am I feeling this way?
I mean, yeah, and I do probably know the answers to some of that, but I'm like, I'm not sitting here in a total state of like denial, but like I do see it, and and it's funny because a lot of it's driven from like I actually weirdly I said I would have described it as a little bit homesick, like I'm just in that way of like Bob's out a lot. He's doing a lot of work in the house, which is for our home, and I'm beyond grateful. But it's then that's not stuff I can really help with because it's construction orientated, and then I just get in the
Yeah.
way. And that would be fine if I had the car. I could go for an hour or two and then come back. And but then you can't, otherwise we've got to take Hamish, and he just gets into a mess and blah blah blah. And so it's it's just sort of like when you sort of think what would I have done before, and I can see the opportunity in it because it's and I can witness it as like things are changing, chapters are ending, energy's shifting, things are changing and being different,
Hmm.
and there's always a sadness around that evolution or that change, but it also on the other side there's opportunity in the same way
Yeah.
as like and it's a it's like, yeah, it's like the things are just moving and it's like, okay, the jigsaw's like moving back into a different, like it's going back into a different place. Yeah, it's very, and we had a bit of a voice note chat around, what was it? Quantum shifting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes like I crave just not being around people and I'm like, just everybody fuck off and let me just like watch some telly.
With my
But
hermit line, I haven't related to anything more in my life.
it's
I'm like,
I don't know.
yeah.
I think it's the period. It's almost like, and this is really actually what why Sam made a really good point. It's like this is like the wintering autumn period, and actually, weirdly, I'm actually probably ready in terms of how my life is panning out at the moment. This is very in sync with what you would expect from us the season. So it's like
Yeah.
obviously we're moving, but actually, we've got a fire in the house and everything. So it's going to feel very like cozy, insular, and just
Mm,
like building somewhere new. There's also fresh opportunity with that. Um, but it's like a slowing down as well, and then also thinking from like an employment and business point of view is really almost like projecting now into like 2026. Like, what am I doing? Hello, Ace of Pentacles, I see you. But it's like I think it's a funny time of year, and then I suppose just generally like I respond like today my energy has been better because it's not been fucking raining when I got up. I was like to Bob, I was like, it rains a lot here and in the sort of autumn. So actually today felt like a beautiful autumn sunny day, and me and Hamish went out for a lovely
mm,
walk, and so I felt more aligned to myself because light for me isn't just around like when I'm feeling like down or sad, and like whilst allowing those feelings to exist, to also say, well, what's the light in this situation as well? Like change your perspective
mm,
because there's a risk that you just sit in them and wallow, but actually light as in make sure you get out when it's light and sunny.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny time, like, and then just layered on with all this like weird moon energy, and then the fact that there's been like fireworks going constantly every evening for what feels like the last month, and my poor dog is petrified. It's a lot. I feel like I absorbed that too. So yeah, that's my therapy session over. Thanks for listening, guys.
Do you know what though? Like, I have to say thank you for sharing because it's like, especially when it's publicly, it's a lot to open yourself up to share how you're
Hmm.
feeling. It's like a peek into your inner world, isn't it? And I
Yeah.
know we have a lot of these conversations between ourselves, but like it's different when you're doing it, you know, on
Yeah.
camera in front of however many people.
At least I didn't cry.
Well, it's normally me that cries, and I'm just learning to accept that I like a cry now and again. It's like it feels good though once you finally let it out,
Yeah.
and I think that what I've experienced anyway, not to say that this is how you feel or what might help you, is like that often when I feel at those points where I'm like regularly on the verge of tears, it's because my body needs to release something. And
Yeah.
it's like we knock that back because sometimes it's like you're out in public and you're like just
Mm.
not wanting to be observed having a cry in public, which is fair enough. And I think
I've
it's
got a
giving
good fuck
yourself
off face for
grace
that,
and
so I'm like, yeah. Out walking the dog, I've been known to do that, or in the car.
yeah.
But you're right, I agree with you around letting it go. And oddly, like I know, like I will feel better for just sitting with the emotion. And the other thing that I actually gave myself a big tick for is I didn't have a glass of wine.
Go
Um,
on.
because I realized as well, like older me would have been, I'm feeling quite sad and emotional. I mean, don't get me wrong, I probably would
Mm,
have been like, let's just put a program on so you could like have a good cry. Like I would have had a good cry in private. Like I don't, I'm not a, it's not like I bottle it up and I'm going to just explode of tears one day. But I would have used alcohol to be like, oh, you're feeling a bit, is medicinal in that way of like, you're feeling a bit shit. This'll
mm,
make you feel worse. And she'll like,
yeah. So what have you
and then
leaned
you'll
for
feel,
instead?
I know. So I was glad that, because I think, that would have been an instinct, would have been like to have just gone and had like a glass of wine. But also it's a reminder, like, to find more in-person community. But I'm building towards
Yeah.
that, and that's the thing I have to remind myself. It's like you don't suddenly like have a group of pals instantly. Like,
Mm,
although I did do something nice last week. I went to so I'd posted on a local Facebook page around my netball services because I was like, I'm not really quite sure what I'm doing, but maybe I can help some people in the interim. And
mhm,
this team contacted me. Well, a few people have contacted me, but this one, and they don't train. They occasionally have some training sessions. But she asked me if I could do a training session with them next month, or this month now actually. And I was like, yeah, sure. What do you want to work on? I'm not sure. I was like, when's your next game? So it was last week. She says, why don't you come? Why don't I just come and watch you, and then I'll get a feel, can meet you in person. So I went down and I sat there and I was like, right, I'm going to take some stats. And I was like, this is just to help me figure out where things are breaking down. What are you doing? And she was saying that I think they only had 7. They had some people out of position. I was like, okay, cool. And so the game started, and I think so they only play 2 halves here. It's a bit weird, but it was like 14-8 down. They were that far down after half time, and I was thinking, oh, right, okay. I gave some coaching whilst I was like on, but then you had a minute, and I was like, right, blah, 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 blah. They won by 1 goal. I was like,
yeah!
they were
Woohoo!
proper buzzing as well, because the team that they beat, I
Ah,
think some of the players used to be in that club, and they hived off and made their own new club. Um,
okay.
but it was really cool, and I was just like, so hopefully I'm going to run a wee coaching session for them. And it was just nice
Oh,
to be
cool.
out and chatting about stuff. And like I went and met another pal it was a friend's friend who lives down here, and we went up met for coffee after and that was lovely. We went round a place called Samsbury House, which was beautiful. So I'm getting out there, and like I have to give myself grace, and I was reflecting on, and the other thing I think is quite good to do in these sorts of situations is perspective, because like you were saying, when you're doing lots of small things, it can feel like you're making no progress. But to
Yeah.
just sort of helicopter up and think, actually, this time last year, where was I? And you can then
Yeah.
see the progress of all your little steps and what benefit it's given you or where you're at.
And I think as well, like, it's coming back to that two things can exist at once. Like, you can be
Mm.
like feeling like sad or melancholic about, your old life and the community that you've left behind, and you can grieve that while also building new community and new
Yeah.
connections. It's like it doesn't need to necessarily be one or the other.
Mm.
It's like finding that balance, I suppose, and allowing it all to exist,
Yeah.
which can be a lot to navigate. Like
Yeah,
emotionally,
I
it is a
think
lot
that,
to
yeah,
navigate
you're
because it's
you're
so much
absolutely
change.
right. You're absolutely right. And then weirdly, somebody messaged me. My friend asked me about, the theory about the 5 people. And she says, do you know the thing about the
Yeah.
5 people? And I was like, oh, what, that you're a product of the 5 people you spend the most time with? I was like, yes, I do. And
Mhm.
and then she said, it said in the book to not, because she's been like to include like your family and stuff, or wherever, whoever she was talking to. And I was like, I don't agree with that, because um, your family can actually have a big influence on you. And if you're spending 100% of your time with those people, then they are influencing you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but, I said, like, I went back to her and I suggested that, I said, what's good is to look maybe more broadly rather than like in a week or something. And actually just to
Mm.
ask yourself, like, if you look around at the people that you do spend most time with, are you in alignment with the values that they have and they espouse? And if not, maybe it's about evolving and changing your group. But it's quite an interesting
Mm.
thing though, isn't it? Where you're like, am I the product? And I'm like,
Yeah.
Hamish, Bob. But then it's
It's
also
like me
like
with
online and
Freddie. I'm
chats.
like,
I know. I've got a question for you. Um,
okay.
I know that we might end this this shortly, and this is maybe a big deep question, but on our walk today, we bumped into somebody that we see regularly, a dog walker, and she
Mm-hmm.
normally has two dogs, and one of the dogs over the last wee while has always had like a plaster on a toe, and something's gone wrong with the dog's nail. Anyway, I hadn't seen her for a couple of weeks, and I was like, "Oh, you've only got one dog today. Where is the other one's foot really hurt?" And she said, "Oh no, it died." The dog was called Rosie, so I feel this is a little tribute to Rosie. And beautiful
Rest
older
in
lab.
peace,
Anyway, it
Rosie.
transpires that this
Oh.
sore toe had been cancer. And then, anyway, it was a big, very quick escalation where literally they took them to the vet, took Rosie to the vet. And the other dog, whose name escapes me just now, honestly, heartbroken. Like, I've seen the other dog's younger and was running around. But honestly, even Hamish was like really weird, because he was properly like, and he doesn't normally kind of like do that. And I don't know if I mean, part of
Yeah.
it was maybe, I thought he needed a poo, but he didn't, because he didn't do one for a little bit after we'd left them.
Mhm.
But it was just the energy of the other, like honestly, the dog, the poor dog's heartbroken. Anyway, that's not a question. But she was then telling me that her son had then written an essay for his RE class about
Mhm.
euthanasia, because obviously they'd had to get the Rosie put down. And the
Okay.
teacher had said something along the lines of, euthanasia is all right, or killing dogs is all right because they don't have a soul. I was like, I am sorry. And it was funny because actually she was telling me that, and she said that she wrote to the school and everything. And I was like, outraged, because I thought surely in an RE class it's a place for expansive thinking.
Fuck
And
me, man. What is
I know,
what? Do you know when you're
I
like,
know.
okay, Sandra, sit in an
I think
objective
to be fair on the
spot to be
boy, I
like,
think he pushed back because he was like, Rosie was my pal, and he's probably grown up with Rosie, because I think she was probably, I think, 11 or 12 maybe, anyway. So like he wouldn't have known life without this dog, right?
oh,
Honestly.
bless
But I was
him.
saying, so my question is, do you think dogs, animals have a soul?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Me
I
too.
know that to be true. Yeah. I
Yeah.
believe animals do. Um,
Hmm.
that's this is going to be a total controversial subject, but this is just my beliefs on it, and there's no judgment of anyone else. But it's personally partly why I choose not to eat meat, because I know that animals have souls, and
Mm,
I think that it's something that has definitely like embedded more into my knowingness having
mm,
Freddie in my life, because he is like full on, he's my soul dog. Like there's a
mm-hmm,
connection there that is just powerful.
mm-hmm.
And like I don't know how anybody, especially like not especially an RE teacher, but can like look into the eyes of a dog and be like, you have no soul. Like how? I'm like, they're the
But
most like
also,
unconditionally loving
yeah,
animals on the planet.
I know.
They're
And
beautiful. And
I was like, because also, like, if you think about some of the stuff we've done from like past lives and regression and all of that, is like you
mm,
could incarnate as an animal. But no,
exactly.
I just was like, I was like, oh no, I think my dog has a soul. And to be fair, like, but there's also like cultural elements and things, I suppose, because not all cultures would keep dogs as pets or
Yeah.
have an animal in the house. And I totally understand that. But the other thing that
Mm,
had struck me was the conversation that I was having was then this set of aspect on like a place for openness and seeing that the other is you and that actually you can appreciate
Mm.
someone else's perspective
Yeah.
without things having to be binary or black or white. And I'm like, your rationale for euthanasia is like it was okay for animals because they don't have a soul. But then also I'm a bit like, well, actually, this also Astra's personal belief here is, I think that how we treat our pets when it comes to end of life care, I think is a lot more compassionate because we do offer
Mm.
that opportunity for them to go surrounded by their family and their loved ones and have their paws held and,
Yeah.
slide off into the next world.
Mm.
Whereas when it comes to sometimes how we treat humans, we keep them alive when actually their
Mm.
soul has already gone
Yeah.
and things like this. So it was really interesting,
Oh.
but I just was really a little bit appalled around education, being like, but surely as the teacher, the opportunity is to encourage the conversation and to ask questions and to encourage people to think for themselves
Mm.
and to allow all the different beliefs to exist rather than
Yeah.
go, it was all right because it's all right to kill a dog because they've no soul. It's not all right to. That. I was like,
And
they
you
have
think
a
that, like,
soul.
they are souls having an experience on Earth. I'm like,
One
and
that's
it's
full of
mad, isn't it?
cuddles. I know.
I
It's,
know.
I can't watch it. There's on TikTok, in fact, the guy wrote a book. His tag on TikTok's Happy Doggo, and I think he wrote a book called Tina or something, which was dedicated to a dog he rescued, who ended up dying. She passed away, but on the back of this was the dog that was the catalyst for he set up this sanctuary he's in Thailand, and he'll go and like feed. There's hundreds, oodles of stray dogs, but they'll go and feed all the street dogs. They'll take them, they'll give them the snip or whatever, so that they can't just procreate wildly. But then they rescued like some of the
Mm.
dogs are terrible. Honestly, I can't sometimes watching it, but it's so beautiful and heartwarming how they're able to they nurse these dogs and show them love and compassion, and it just fills my soul.
There was a
It does
point I
make me
was contemplating volunteering at a dog shelter
oh,
and going in. I
they'd all
know,
come
because
home.
I thought, with Reiki as well, like it's
Yeah,
something that can benefit animals as well. So I was like, I could go in, but I
absolutely.
was like, Sandra, you would just want to rehome them all. And
I
Freddie,
know.
as you know, Gail, is not the most sociable dog.
He's a one dog family for sure.
I think so. He's an only child. But I did think to myself, I was like, this would be also an opportunity for me to like release attachment to like outcomes and control over things and just like, well, but you know what I'm like. I'd probably be an emotional mess
I'm
anytime
sure
I
that
had to say
there's an
goodbye to the
easier
dogs.
way to do that. I know it's so
I
funny
just
because
think,
it's been hard watching them with all the fireworks this week.
mm,
But yeah, I do love my dog. And see when he puts his head like on my chest, or he's like, I know you're feeling a bit down in the dumps today. Let me give you a cuddle. And
they
then he's
just
like,
know.
they do. And then he's like, reward me now.
Yeah, I'd be nice to you. Give me a bone.
I know. No,
Freddie's
no,
not
I
too
thought
bad
it
with
was,
the fireworks, thankfully.
Hamish has
So
just gotten worse and
when
worse over the years, but they sound
that's a
like they've been some
shame.
that have been really close. Like in the distance, he's not too bad, but it sounded like there's
Mm,
been stuff like literally in the next street. So it's been very loud. So we'll
bless
see what the
him.
next few nights come. I know, but it's just you can't tell me there's not a soul in there.
And I can't get over that because it's like you think when like kids are in education, teachers are also role models and they're contributing towards like shaping belief systems in people. And it's
Mhm.
like I mean, kids are still their own people, right? And they can still challenge things. And I was always a kid that asked questions in school. And I didn't always like there were some things I was taught I was like, this just doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah,
But also like those things leave lasting impressions um and also like why would you even say that? I think as a teacher, it's like why would that be part of the education? Do you know what I mean? And it just I mean got my own opinions on the whole schooling system and the fact that it is a system that is not encouraging necessarily children to explore beliefs and develop their own belief systems and ask questions and challenge the way things are done. It's more about getting conformity. And I could go off on a whole other tangent with that, but
I know. Maybe we
that's
could
just
do
a
a
bit like,
follow-up.
it doesn't feel good, does it?
No, it didn't. And having like met the dog, Rosie, I really wish I could remember the others, the younger dog, but she was a beautiful soul and really friendly. Like she did often have a plaster on her toe because she'd obviously lost her toenail at some point. But it was interesting because she'd apparently been like gnawing at her foot for ages, so
Bless her.
she'd obviously known. But yeah, it was like just a really, really lovely, lovely dog. So
Mm.
yeah, so I felt really bad for the lady, don't even know her name, just a dog walker that we see.
No, I'll be
And
sending her love.
I know, so she's got Rosie's ashes, and I was talking to her about like
Oh God.
honoring, I know, honoring her and what they're going to do and stuff. And she's like, oh, I'm still not sure. But the other dog, though, like this, the heartbreak where you just realize it's like the dog's just lost their best pal in her company and everything. So it's a big
And the
adjustment.
dog's grieving,
Yep, absolutely.
but she
And the
doesn't
other
have a
dog's like,
soul.
I know.
I'm like,
Absolutely.
shit. I'm like, has this woman ever had a dog? Maybe maybe this teacher has never actually experienced life with a dog. Because I'm like,
I
how
don't
could
know,
you?
but
And think,
even still, I mean, if you're an RE teacher, also like if you're teaching about lots of different types of religions, Buddhists believe in
mm,
reincarnation, don't they? And Hindus, I think.
yeah,
And so you're like, and actually, I'm sure like in Buddhism, you can reincarnate as an animal. So I'm a bit like,
mm,
setting aside your own personal beliefs, you're teaching RE, which is all about educating people on different belief systems and hopefully educating them that no one is better than the other. And you find one that,
yeah,
you believe what you believe, but you respect that others believe what they believe. So yeah, it was
yeah.
just pretty outrageous. I think that's a nice, neat point.
Wild.
I know Wales, but let's
That's
just,
a sharp point to end on.
I know, but I'm
Be
a bit
interested
like,
to hear what other people think and feel
yeah,
on that topic. And
whether
also in
pets
terms
have
of
souls.
euthanasia and stuff as well. It's like I suppose it's like the no taboo, isn't it? It's what we're here to talk about, whether it's like
Topic. That
it
would
is
be
a
a
meaty
question that we
topic.
would have like in a death cafe. Like we have lots of questions like that. Some of
Mm.
them are massively rich and like multi-layered, and some of them are basic, like, have you got a will in place? How do you put it with like
Yeah.
boring stuff like that? But yeah, love a big question like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
What a week,
I
man.
know, I know. What a week.
um,
What a week.
it's
Well,
it's
hopefully
been a funny
the
one.
energy is now beginning to settle as the moon does its thing. And we'll be
I'm looking
back.
forward to hearing from people about what's been coming up for them recently when this is published and how the energies align. Because it's always interesting when the pod goes out. I always do think like we talk about this
Mm,
about everything being in perfect time and um the messages that come through or whenever you need to hear them.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
I always think that with the
interesting to
card
know.
pulls.
Yeah, me too. And
Yes.
it's funny because I was thinking like recently about it and like when I do edits and stuff and put the podcast out, like it always feels like a bit of a gift from our previous selves because it's like listening back. And I was
I
like,
know.
every time I was like, I fucking love our podcast.
I
I've
know.
been
I'm very
listening to
excited
this.
to go in it. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I do. I love listening to it actually.
Mm,
And just the chat and like the reminders, because I just think they're always just little nuggets that help us on our journey.
yeah,
And on that
exactly.
lovely
And on
nugget
that
and beautiful
note,
note,
I
until
know.
next time.
Until next time, people, one foot in front of the
No,
other and all that.
absolutely. You have been watching, or maybe listening, to the No Taboo Woo Show.
No Taboo Woo Show. Take care.
Bye. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you have enjoyed what we were chatting about, please leave us a comment. We'd love to hear what landed. And please feel free to share this with a pal if you know anyone who would be interested. Until the next episode. See you later.